Hello my darlings, I hope you are all well and are having a fabulous day. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a quick recap of the eviction interviews that took place last night on Celebrity Big Brother 2024. So if you don't know already, EKIN-SU was evicted from the house and Levi was also evicted from the house. I am dropping daily quick recaps and reviews of this whole season, so if that sounds like something that you're interested in, click the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And while you're at it, check out my Big Brother recap playlist to catch up on all the episodes that you may have missed. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So, EKIN-SU was interviewed first. First of all, do you know what? I'm so glad that she was evicted. So it was no secret that I wasn't keen on EKIN-SU. And the reason I weren't keen on her, she's a bit annoying, she's a bit of a brown noser. Benefit to her is that she does know how to play a game, and that is good because you're on a game show. Love Island was a game show. Big Brother is a game show, right? She knows how to play the game. So she does well on things like this. But that whole slippery personality, I don't really like it. So that's why I'm quite glad that she was nominated off the show. Anyway, it seemed like she was really surprised to hear the audience's perception of her. Like she was really surprised to hear the boos. Face literally dropped when she heard the live feedback, and I felt like she instantly knew that she was in danger. You know, she sat down for her interview and she was like, do you know what, this experience was one of the best experiences in my life, but I'm so happy, you know, to see all the familiar faces and see my family. She was just literally feeling so overwhelmed by all of the craziness, especially the craziness that had happened, you know, within the last 24 hours, which was the face-to-face nominations. They asked her how she found the face-to-face evictions, and she said that she was literally petrified. She never expected for that to happen. They were literally having a good time in the fair, eating sweets and, you know, celebrating and having a bit of a laugh, and then all of a sudden things just took a bit of a turn, and she said that she was shaking, and I feel like you could see that on the cameras. She did look a bit shook, and then when everything started being thrown at her, she literally was like a bit of a bubbling pot. They obviously spoke briefly about the Marisha conversation, and they were like, look, before we get into that, let's just talk about the other nominations you got, because apart from Marisha, you did actually receive 4 other nominations. Fern went hard for you, basically. She said it's really hard to have deep and meaningful conversations with everybody when so much stuff is happening all at the same time. And basically she said it's natural to gravitate towards the people that you just genuinely have a connection with. So she was saying that she was shocked with hearing Bradley's vote, but she lets him off because he's really sweet, and she thinks that Fern didn't give her a chance. Basically she said that Fern had the wrong perception of her from Love Island. This is assuming that Fern actually watched her on Love Island, do you know what I mean? And she said that Fern should have opened up to her a bit more, because when they ended up having the podcast episode and they spoke there, it was shown that her and Fern did have loads of things in common. And they were like, were you yourself on the show? Were you real? And she said, do you know what? I was myself on here. I, in fact, tried to go in being really hard and being a bit of a boss, but realistically I ended up being really vulnerable. And she feels like people were constantly judging her about whether she was being real or not, but actually nobody knows the real her because they only know her from a show, so their perception is the only perception that they will have. And then they spoke about Marisha, and she just said that she was so deeply upset with Marisha, and she basically said that Marisha should never judge somebody on their past. So the fact that she won Love Island doesn't automatically mean that she's gonna win this competition. She said that at the end of the day, she was never thinking about Marisha or anybody else as competition. She was just forming a friendship, and the fact that Marisha had that on her head the whole time says a lot more about her, and she says that she feels like that's really sad. And then they were like, can you not see that Marisha was actually giving you a bit of a backhanded compliment? Like, what she was saying could have actually been taken fairly, like it could be seen as a positive thing. To which I agree, because I think the same. Marisha is saying, you are my direct competitor. If I want to win here, I need to take you out because you have got what it takes to win. So there's actually a compliment. And ultimately she was saying it's hard to look at it as a compliment when all of that shit's being thrown at you. And she was my friend and I just didn't expect it from her, so I can't see it as a compliment. And ultimately I'm sitting here today having been evicted because of what she said. So that's it. But she was like, look, I did see her as a friend. She is my friend, not a competitor to me. And she's a beautiful person with a beautiful voice, and she makes good food. And that's what I seen and that's what I took. And I'm not going to say anything else about it. And then AJ was like, well, you got annoyed at Marisha voting for you because she's your friend, but you voted for Louis. So what's all that about? And she claims that she voted for Louis because she wanted to get him out of the house because he wasn't happy. She said they were picking on him in there and he wanted to go home. And I thought, who was picking on Louis? Because if anybody's doing any picking on, it's been the other way around. She told him basically her reasons for doing it and he apparently agreed. But that wasn't shown on air, so that AJ was like, well, we didn't see that. And she was like, oh, it wasn't shown on air. He knows why I nominated him. Maybe it wasn't aired. So I don't know what all that's about. But they were like, but he said several times that he was really surprised that you nominated him. So it kind of doesn't marry up. So I don't know whether she's telling the truth there or not, and I guess we'll never know. And they said to her, out of everyone, are you surprised to be sitting here today? And she really feels like she's a bit of a philosopher. That's one thing about her. I feel like every question was answered with her opinion plus a bit of food for thought from her philosophy bank. So she was like, you can't predict life. Just because I won Love Island doesn't mean I'm gonna win everything. It's all about what goes out there and whether the people connect with you. And they were like, why did you get so frustrated when people kept mentioning Love Island? And she basically said she feels like people judge her or form a perception of her from her experience on Love Island. But again, I don't know why that's such a bad thing. And furthermore, we only know you from Love Island. That is where the UK society anyway certainly got introduced to you, from Love Island. So we're gonna make reference to where we know you from. The only reason you're on Celebrity Big Brother is because you appeared on Love Island. So I don't understand that. And they were like you yourself spoke about Love Island so much, considering you didn't want anybody to keep mentioning it. They literally had to show her all of the occasions where she mentioned Love Island, and she just sat there in shock. It's almost like they forgot that they were being filmed sometimes, which is probably a good thing because it just meant that they were being themselves. And she said, well, do you know what? There were a lot of similarities between being in the Big Brother house and being on Love Island. The only difference is that you don't find a connection when you're in the Big Brother house. And then they spoke about the fact that she gravitated towards the older housemates, and she was basically saying that she feels like she has a maturer mindset, and speaking to them was really good. They have different life experiences. She felt comfortable to speak to them about everything, which you could see that she was having genuine conversations with the older crowd and with the younger crowd. So she was one of the ones that was going between the two. AJ said, you know, you sparked really great friendships with Sharon and Lauren. Like, what are your thoughts? And she was just like, Lauren is amazing. And you can actually see that those two really hit it off. They got on like a house on fire, which was one genuine thing I think that we can take from her there. And she said that Sharon is a diamond and a role model for people, and was a role model for her. But was that relationship genuine? Was she literally friends with Sharon because she wanted to see what she could get, or was it real, you know? And I feel like that one there, we don't know. But anyway, and they asked who was she most surprised at forming a friendship with, and she said that everybody was amazing. She didn't go in there with any prerequisites about who she wanted to make friends with, because ultimately she didn't even know who was going to be in the house. But Levi, Louis and Sharon were her people, and she felt like she really learned a lot from Sharon. There's things that she learned from Sharon that will stay with her. They asked her what gems did she pick up from any of the housemates and who did she learn it from. And basically she learned from Sharon to stop explaining herself, stop overthinking, and just be herself. If they don't like her, they don't like her. If they do, they do. Just live with it, basically. People are people, and they're going to like what they like, and they're going to do what they want to do, and that's what makes individuals unique. And that's what she took from Sharon. And then finally they asked her if she had any regrets, and she said that she regretted voting for Louis, even though it wasn't from a malicious place. He knows why she voted for him. She regrets voting for him, which I found to be a bit contrary, because we actually don't know whether she's telling the truth about the fact that he wanted to go home and she was doing it to save him. Because ultimately her reasons were he doesn't clean in the house and she would like somebody that contributes to the cleaning. And they finally said, if you didn't vote for Louis, who would you have voted for? And it probably would have been Zizi, because they clash sometimes. And finally, there's been a lot of finalies, but finally she wants Louis to win because he's himself and he's a funny man. And that was that. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are.